Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our third Plan for Jobs virtual event. Today, we're going to be talking about young people and Kickstart, and that's because young people have been at the heart of our Plan for Jobs, and we know that young people are often the most affected during crises like the one we're currently experiencing. And that's why we created Kickstart, a fantastic scheme to help young people find new opportunities. I'm delighted that we're joined by this amazing panel, a mix of Kickstarters and employers who were very fortunate to have their time, and you'll be hearing from them in just a second. And especially we've got Macklin and Ellen, who are some of our young Kickstarters. You're going to be particularly excited to hear from them. And they are just a few of the thousands of Kickstarters who have already started their jobs. But in aggregate, the good news is we've created over 120,000 Kickstart jobs since this scheme was announced by me in July and launched in September. So that's an extraordinary achievement. So thank you to all the companies that have taken part. All the young people that have started and are going to start can look forward to a brighter future because of this. And that's what we want to hear about today. So without further ado, I should say actually though, please send in your questions. They're already coming in, but wherever you are online on social media, send in your questions and we will try and answer as many as we can. But let's start by having the panel all introduce themselves. First of all, Macklin, why don't we go to you?
Hi there, I'm Macklin. I'm a media and communications assistant for Luton Town Football Club Community Trust. I started 3 weeks ago.
Brilliant, thanks Macklin. Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen. I started at Hollywood Chemist as a Kickstarter in November, and I've been working there ever since in their pharmacy and more recently helping out in their vaccination centre.
Brilliant. Jack?
Hi, I'm Jack Parsons, known as the UK's Chief Youth Officer, and my mission is to improve the odds for young people to reach their full potential in work.
Thanks, Jack. Mark, over to you.
Hi, Mark Lovell, CEO of the Argyle Community Trust, the official charitable partner of Plymouth Argyle Football Club.
Brilliant. Raj?
Hi, I'm Raj Patel. I'm a pharmacist and the CEO of Hollywood Chemist Limited, and very recently we've opened 3 vaccinating centres in order to get people jabbed.
Well, that's great. I'm sure we're going to be talking about that. And lastly, Colin.
Thank you, Chancellor. I'm Colin Gottlieb, Chief Growth Officer of Lab Bible Group. We're one of the largest publishers in the world, reaching around 1 billion people each month, and specifically 2/3 of young people in the United Kingdom.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'm sure everyone watching will agree with me. We've got such a great panel. So thank you to all of you for making some time today. I know people are going to be excited to hear what you have to say. Right, let's go to our first question, which is for our Kickstarters. You've now been in your jobs for a few weeks. Can you let us know what your job entails and what has been your favourite experience so far? Macklin, why don't we start with you and then go over to Ellen?
Okay, thank you, Chancellor. It's been a busy and exciting few weeks for us, and for me in particular. It's been a real pleasure getting to know my team, even if it has been mostly virtual. My job and role has primarily been designing for digital purposes, being social media, our website, as well as printed leaflets, posters, documents, that sort of thing. So my favorite project so far has been in partnership with the EFL Trust, who have been running a Tackling Loneliness Together program. That's the initiative. We're one of 32 local communities involved in this initiative. And it's been really great getting to see what we've been doing, as I've designed a newsletter highlighting everything that we've been doing for the local Luton residents who might be isolated or feeling quite lonely. Yeah, it's been great.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great to hear, actually. And I mean, I'm a massive football fan, and football clubs everywhere are such integral parts of their community. It's great to see you being involved in the other side of what we don't see when we're all watching our matches. But that's really lovely to hear. Ellen, and I was talking to Ellen just before. I'm obviously incredibly biased because I started my first job working for my mum in her pharmacy, doing exactly what Ellen is doing. So I'm excited to see what Ellen's been up to. So Ellen, why don't you tell us?
So I'm currently training to be a pharmacy dispensing assistant. It's actually a combined dispensing assistant course provided by Hollywood. So when I started in the pharmacy, I didn't know anything to do with the industry or pharmacy. I'm about halfway through now. I'm still learning, but I'm assisting with dispensing medication. I help screen patients to refer to the pharmacist. And I'm constantly broadening my knowledge with the help of the pharmacist and other staff members. I'm really enjoying working in the vaccination centre currently. I find it really rewarding. Everyone's so grateful. And yeah, it's been really good.
Fantastic, Ellen. And obviously, because pharmacies are open, presumably you're able to work in the actual pharmacy, so you're going in every day.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, and it's been very busy, but it's been very satisfying. Yeah, it's been good.
Well, I'm full of admiration and excited that you're doing exactly what I did. It's great, and it's incredibly rewarding talking to all patients and helping them. Great. Our next question is for our employers. And what we're asking here is, can you give us some insight into why your organisation decided to offer placements via the Kickstart scheme? So, Colin, why don't we start with you?
Well, fundamentally, because it's absolutely the right thing to do. At Loud Bible Group, we've got the largest audience of 16-24s in the UK, and in terms of this group, we know how hard they've been hit by this pandemic. So for us, what Kickstart offers is an opportunity to gain skills and experience for young people that they wouldn't necessarily already be able to have within the current climate. We're going to offer each Kickstarter a mentor, tailored training to ensure that at the end of their placement, they've gained new skills. And certainly it's our intention that through this scheme, we'll either find fantastic new talent or alternatively allow them to better explore the career of their choice.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great that you're providing that mentor thing. I had that when I started my first job after uni, and it's so critical for helping develop skills and get extra advice. Mark, over to you.
Yeah, very similar to Colin in terms of, it is the right thing to do. I think also from a football club's perspective is the opportunity within the multiple departments that are available as well. So it's providing that vocational opportunity to obviously for them to flourish, but also some of the, pitting some of the practices such as, from a the finances to the administration to grounds maintenance to sports coaching. So there's an array of opportunities for young people to develop and flourish. So, for us as a network, it was really, really key and to be involved and, something that we feel that we can really improve young people's opportunities.
Brilliant. And thank you for doing that. Raj, I mean, you've got all these bright people like Ellen, and what was it? Where did you find out about this? What does it do for you?
Yes, thanks, Chancellor. I think from our perspective that we already have young people working for us on Saturdays and during the week, and this was in fact a perfect extension to what we could do. But I think I just rewind slightly to when we had the pandemic since March, and as you know, community pharmacy has been open right the way through, and we in community pharmacy we lost something in the region of about 20 or 25% of our workforce because of COVID isolation at any one time. So this was when you announced it in September and in October. I think this was the first thing that we thought, well, hang on, let's see whether we can help out in this way. Let's see whether we can get the young people to come in and help within the pharmacy, which is desperately needed at that time. And we were absolutely amazed by the enthusiasm of the Kickstarters and the way they came in. So it was a perfect start for us, really. And whilst we had people isolating, the Kickstarters like Ellen and her colleagues just filled their boots really well.
Brilliant. That's great. And then Jack, you've been, what attracted you to being part of this and providing support to people and helping them along the journey?
Young people all across the country need three things: hope, skills, and opportunity. And the Kickstarter really has helped provide that. We've helped over 700 Kickstarters join employers, 5 join us as well. And every Kickstarter that joins, they have passion, they have energy, they have hope, and they really, really want to get on the ladder and make something of themselves. Every Kickstarter that applies for a role gets a mentor, whether they get onto the program or not. So we provided over 1,200 mentor sessions already. And for instance, I'll give you an example. Capita, they're hiring 100 young people with us. 100 young people that have now got an opportunity to move forward. And the next challenge is, how do we keep them in work? And how do we help them grow to become the future of this country?
Jack, thanks for that. It was incredibly inspiring and very passionate. And I agree with absolutely everything that you said, and delighted to have you involved. So we've got a question in from Joe, who has asked, what do you need to qualify for a Kickstart placement? And if I want to work for a digital company, do I need to have digital qualifications? Well, why don't Joe, I'll have a bash at the first part, and then I'll ask Colin and maybe Raj actually to talk about the skills requirement or not, as the case may be. So who is this program targeted at, Joe? It's targeted at young people who are at the risk of becoming unemployed. So if you're between the age of 16 and 24, you're eligible for this program. In the first iteration, we want to really help those who we're worried about, who we don't think are going to find a job otherwise. And so what those people should do is talk to their work coach, because they'll be receiving UCs. They should talk to their work coach, and their work coach will be able to point them in the direction of these opportunities. Because locally, in every area, there'll be lots of companies who have the ability to hire Kickstarters because they've passed our process. And then what happens is they will see all the people that are available, and you can be interviewed that way, and that's how the matching happens. But on the important question of, do you need to have any skills to do these jobs? Why don't I ask Colin to answer that, and then Raj maybe could answer that as well, just from his perspective about how broad and open this is. Colin.
Well, certainly when it comes to us, I mean, there are a lot of very specific skills within our business. However, I think for us, we look beyond sort of standard backgrounds, education. We want a very diverse, open community. And the things for me, I mean, I started early in the industry: curiosity, passion, tenacity, and I think also care. You've got to care for people. If you don't care for people around you, your workforce, other people in society, then certainly within, whether it's digital or anything else, you haven't got a chance. So Kickstarters for me are, those sort of broader, honest elements.
Brilliant. And Raj, for you, I mean, I think Ellen was saying it's not that she came as a ready-made dispensing assistant. Is that, I mean, so hopefully you can take people with a broad range of experience by the sound of it.
Absolutely, Chancellor. I think, as Ellen said, she when she started, she knew very little, and we don't expect our Kickstarters to know a lot. So the spectrum is absolutely wide. But all we ask for is be humble and be caring, and that's what patients need. That's what patients require. And we will provide you with the training. So we've got a double qualification. So when Ellen leaves, she will have a qualification in dispensing assistant, and also she'll have a qualification in the medicines counter assistance course, which is provided by the National Pharmacy Association. So, we will guide them, we will get them through to what they need to learn right the way through the week. And therefore, the net is so wide. As long as you are caring and you're willing to work, willing to learn, there's a place.
Well, that's fantastic, right? It's broad and available to everyone. And then a question next for Macklin and Ellen. So could you talk a little bit, guys, about the job search process before you were referred to Kickstart? And what were you doing? How was it going? And then how did this come along and hopefully help? Macklin, do you want to start first?
Okay, yeah. So over the period of I think March 2020 onwards, I made about 17 applications, including the Kickstart one. But for the 16 before that, I had no feedback or anything. It was kind of what you hear across the board. It was quite bleak, I suppose. But then my work coach, excellent work coach named Michelle, she called me and said, there's a Kickstart opportunity, because we had talked about it briefly before. And from there, I sent off a CV, covering letter, and portfolio. And within 15 days of that initial application, I had 2 meetings, and the last one was confirming my place with Luton Town Community Trust. So quite straightforward.
That it's so great to hear, because that's exactly what we were worried about. It's such a difficult labour market, especially for young people who often work in the industries that right now are the ones that are most impacted by all the restrictions. And it was knowing that was likely to happen that we created the scheme. So I'm just over the moon to hear that it worked so well for you. But also, hopefully, she's watching. Michelle, huge shout out to Michelle. And I think the unsung heroes are these work coaches everywhere. Maybe you just spend 30 seconds on that, just your relationship with Michelle and how she's helped you, because I think it's so important, the role that work coaches play.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Michelle was great. She was always very encouraging. As I said, those 16 applications where I heard nothing back, she was just saying, look, your application, your CV is really it's good, it's strong. It's just a matter of time. And that kind of kept me going through that tough process, that tough period.
That's great. And one thing we did early on is we've spent over £1 billion to double the number of work coaches across the country, knowing that there are going to be a lot more people who need that extra support. But Ellen, how were you finding things before showing up and getting your Kickstart placement?
So I had a very similar experience to Macklin, actually. So last year, I unfortunately lost my job. I used to work in hospitality, so obviously COVID cuts. So I lost my job, and I applied for multiple jobs doing for all sorts of things, and you would rarely hear back. The places were just getting such a high volume of applications, you barely got a look in. And then one day I got a phone call from my work coach called Ruth. She was amazing. She was really supportive. She knew that I was already interested in pharmacy. She knew that I'd already tried applying to some pharmacies, but without qualifications, it was quite difficult. So she called me. She was like, Ellen, I've heard this amazing opportunity. It's a Kickstart scheme. They've just posted it today. So I jumped straight on it. I sent in an email, and the same day I got a phone call, had a little phone call interview. And it really brightened my spirits.
That is fantastic, and well done, Ruth. So shout out to her. That's excellent. Right, next question. Quick, why don't we go to Mark and Jack? What are you looking for in your ideal candidates for Kickstart jobs? Go on, Mark, and then Jack. Top three things.
Willingness, openness, and creativity.
Brilliant. A lot of nodding from colleagues as well. Jack, how about you?
For young people, I call it the duvet flip. What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip that duvet and be passionate about something, and everything else will come. With Capita, who's hiring 100 young people, we've got rid of the CV. The young people play the game. We have to rip up the recruitment process and give the right opportunities. So all we want to see is humble care and get that duvet flip. Flip that duvet. Let's get you to work and be happy.
Okay, definitely we need to get duvet flip trending. I think that is fantastic. Brilliant. Right, next question's coming live. Does the Kickstart scheme is it paid employment, or does it act as voluntary work experience? Well, I can cover that. So it's paid, as hopefully Ellen and Macklin can attest to. And what the government provides is the funding to companies to pay for the national living wage for 25 hours per week. And obviously companies at their discretion can do other things, but the government makes sure that money is available for the company to fully pay the Kickstarter. And on top of that, the company receives £1,500 from us in government to help bring the young people on board, provide them with the training and the mentoring that you've heard about. So this is a really good start. This is a high quality job, as you're hearing from Macklin and Ellen, and a good way to start your career. Right, the next thing is actually we've got a question from a journalist for the first time on one of these things, from Delphine Strauss from the Financial Times, who's joining us. And she's asking, what measures are in place to ensure Kickstart placements do not displace other jobs? And Delphine, that is obviously an important question. Now, I can give you the technical answer, and then we should obviously hear from our employers. But the technical answer is when employers apply to be part of the scheme and get the funding from government, what they have to do is pass what's called an additionality test. And what they will have to show and demonstrate is that the Kickstart jobs that they are creating are brand new ones and other people aren't being let go at the same time. Obviously, that would be counterproductive. But that's the theory, and that's what we try and do on our end. But why don't you hear from the employers? So, Colin, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go around.
We're in I guess, a fortunate position. In 2020, we didn't furlough anyone, and we added 100 people. And our culture and how we look after our people is these positions are incremental, absolutely incremental. So from our perspective, it's very clear.
Brilliant. I'm glad to hear that. Raj, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yes, Chancellor. I think in terms of over the last year or so, pharmacy funding has not been as it should, and maybe that's a different conversation at a different time. But I think it's been absolutely pivotal that we have had our Kickstarters in. We've lost nobody. In fact, it's been so busy that we required more staff. And for two reasons. One, that the pharmacy was extremely busy, and the other reason was that we were losing people on isolation, for COVID isolation. So both of those reasons required us to have more staff. But unfortunately, and I'm not trying to teach people to suck eggs here, but there is a finite amount of funding that's available within pharmacy, and therefore we've got to make sure that we're able to meet those bills. And I think this is a fantastic scheme for employers in terms of introducing young, vibrant people like Madeline and Ellen into the business, and hoping that they'll flourish into being employed within our profession, hopefully.
Oh, that's good. And Mark, obviously you've been involved in things for quite a while through the trust. I think hopefully you would echo the comments from Colin and Raj that this, I don't know, when you heard about the scheme, this is something new that you could do, but why don't you talk to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's certainly not to displace staff. This is about, enabling young people to be creative, to develop the business and the organization, infrastructure, creativity, innovation, especially, through the pandemic we're going through, diversifying what we do provides young people with that scope to do that for us as well. So it's adding to what we've got, and it's really enabling us to develop as an industry, especially the area that we cover.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's good, and that's why when we created this scheme, we wanted it to have a great name and a brand, and to be something that was positive. And Jack talked about this. We want this to be inspiring to people like Ellen and Macklin, that people, both companies and individuals, they should want to be part of this scheme because it's an exciting, positive thing to do. And because we created it, it makes hopefully companies like yours or organizations like yours sit up and say, oh, that sounds interesting. Let's see if we can be a part of that, and give some young people a chance. So thank you for doing that. This next one, actually, Jack, this is probably a good one for you. This is about gateways, because we made some changes so that small and medium-sized businesses don't have to use gateways anymore if they don't want to, or they still can. And so the question is from Gavin is about what support and progression will employers be able to access for Kickstarters. Maybe you could talk about the role that your organisation plays in helping those employers and what you provide for them.
There is over 600 fantastic gateways that have been verified by DWP, which are fantastic gateways on there. I believe that if you're unsure, and this will actually help you get rid of, there's always going to be, as your previous question, you're always going to get the ones that are trying to skip up the system, but we'll catch them, no worries. But the ones that do want to do good, yeah, we'll catch them. Every employer that comes with us, we write the job descriptions for them, so it's definitely a new role. I think there's a lot of support that the gateways can give around pastoral care. We have to understand that young people will be feeling overwhelmed. There will be mental health challenges. They're not going to be able to have the right. They might be in IT poverty. So the gateways can really support you kickstart that young person's placement in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, fantastic. And that is an important point, right? The gateways can provide a lot of support for small and medium-sized businesses, and the choice is still there. So you don't need to access a gateway, but you still can if you would like, and we've provided the funding for that. I'm conscious of time, so I want to, Ellen and Macklin, so a question has come in. Hang on, I've lost it. Where is it? Here we are. What parts of your training have you found the most helpful so far? And because I know so let's do quick answers and try and see if we can sneak in another question. So what part of your training have you found the most helpful so far? Go on, Ellen.
So it's mainly the experience. Obviously, I have the online course, which I have study time for. But the experience working in pharmacists, talking to the pharmacists, they help me a lot, and all the other staff. So that combined has been really helpful.
Brilliant. Macklin?
I've just found that the team is very supportive. As I've said before, it's all been virtual because of the lockdown and everything like that. In terms of training, I haven't really had much. It's more, there's a COVID rapid testing service that we're going to be involved with in partnership with Active Luton. So that's training that I've yet to do. I'll be starting that after this call, I believe, or tomorrow. So the support is mostly what I'm getting from this at the moment, but it is early days as well. As I only started 3 weeks ago.
And that will build over time. Right, I'm just going to try and let's get a couple in very quickly. This for our employers. I think it's good questions, actually. Nick has sent this question. What skills and qualities are most sought after in the job market today? That's a great question. And why don't you also, while I've got you guys, also answer this question very briefly about, what support do you provide for your Kickstarters through their placement, and when they get to the end, what happens to them? How do you make sure that they're also set up for success? But let's go very, very rapidly. Colin, do you want to start with that? Those two together?
Yeah, I'll try and be as rapid as possible. So skills in the jobs market, as I said before, passion, caring, that there is real tenacity. But for anybody looking at companies have got so much information online. Do your homework, it's all there. And then you're really ahead of other people. Support, we've got a fantastic HR team running this, IT, and also mentors, as I said, from across the content and commercial teams. So looking after them, and then on finally giving them skills in terms of writing CVs and how to interview.
Brilliant. And then Raj, as you've got people like Ellen with you for a while, how do you think about it as they get to the end of the 6-month Kickstart job? What are you doing to help and support them?
Once Ellen's been there for 3 months now, and I'm hoping that she understands what pharmacy is all about and the services, etc., that we give, and I'm hoping that's really widened her view on pharmacy and hopefully a focus that she might want to take that as a career. And if she does, then we're there. We do want to make sure that our Kickstarters have an opportunity in the future to work with us.
Brilliant. And Mark, on same question to you.
Yeah, so very, very similar, but the element of the progression would be from there to obviously continue their employment with us, or whether that's into apprenticeships, or whether that's to our wider partners as well. So as a football club, we've got a number of multiple partners that we'll work with to obviously make sure that they that young people can continue that development as well. I think from the employers, what we provide, obviously that mentoring, that training element is really key, and also some of those life skills as well. So for example, we've got a couple of units around like sort of money management, social media and so on, obviously when working with it within businesses as well. So it gives that opportunity for young people to develop those skills which they're also going to need.
Great. And then I think we've got about 2 minutes left, or a minute and a half left. So last thing, why don't we hear from Ellen, Macklin and Jack in that order. Just last reflections from you. How excited are you about this, and what are your plans for the future, and what difference do you think this is going to make to them?
So I found my time at the pharmacy extremely productive. It's been challenging, but it's been inspiring. I'm actually looking at going to university in September to do pharmaceutical as cosmetic science. So I'm hoping to stay in the industry and hopefully get myself a little part-time job when I move in a pharmacy.
Brilliant. And I will be rooting for that. Go on, Macklin.
I'm just really excited about the work that I've been able to produce. And if I'm offered a job by the end of the 6 months, that'll be amazing. But if not, then I'm confident in the portfolio that I will have developed by that point. And I hope to stay in the charity kind of sector for communications.
Brilliant. And then Jack, I mean, you've been talking passionately about this scheme. Do you think it's going to make a difference to people?
With this Kickstart experience that any young person gets on their CV, they will have the opportunity to get in the door, whether they want to work for Coca-Cola or Carol, they are going to be able to have the opportunity to get the experience they need to go on to get a job. So any young person out there, apply for a Kickstart scheme and find out what your future's about.
Brilliant. Well, that is a great note to end on. Thanks to our fantastic panel for joining us. It's been a great discussion, filled with positivity. I think Jack, you said it right at the beginning. What's this about? What's Kickstart about? It's about providing hope, skills, and opportunity. And thank you all for being part of that project with us. And hopefully lots of people watching have been inspired by what you've all said. So whether you're Carol and the business side, please sign up and join, or whether you're the next Ellen or Macklin, go talk to your work coach about how to be part of this. So thanks, everyone. Take care. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.